Hey, this is ESIS Part 4. You should go watch the other parts. What would your mom say if she found out you never knew how to count? Yo. Hey, I thought I got footage for every game. I spent like a solid, month getting everything, double checking, doing everything I could to make sure I had all the footage. And I did get, every game. Except Animal Crossing, and I could go back and do it, but I don't want to, so I'm just gonna steal footage. Okay, we good? We good? Yep, yeah. Alright, yeah, good. Welcome to Smash 4. Things are gonna start getting weird. For Animal Crossing, we'll be going with New Leaf on 3DS. Animal Crossing is a very simple and calming game. You arrive in a randomized town, and from there you simply just run around and live life here. You set up a house, talk to the neighbors, just do whatever you want. New Leaf's distinction in the Animal Crossing series is that you are the mayor of your town. Isabelle is your assistant and does all the main work for you while you just get to change a flag or whatever. I'm gonna be straightforward and say that I didn't spend over 100 hours on this like many other people have, but from what I did play, I very much enjoyed it. Having people move in, catching bugs and fish, digging up fossils, filling out the museum, it's just all so relaxing. Making sure your town is all nice and pretty, changing things to your liking, it's just really nice. I played this game every day for around a month, I think, and the content started getting a little bit repetitive around then. I didn't spend hundreds of hours doing every single thing, but I could definitely see why others would. I'm not an Animal Crossing guy, but Animal Crossing, you did good. 4 stars. Mega Man is a weird series because it's just so big, like there are so many of these things. I decided that it would make the most sense to pick one from the classic series because that just makes the most sense. I was gonna do my favorite Mega Man 3, but then I remembered. I'm really bad at Mega Man 3, and then I went, oh, who am I kidding, just do Mega Man 2. Mega Man I feel like had a nostalgia boom and then kinda stopped. It was like around the time Mega Man got announced for Smash and Capcom went, oh yeah, people like our games, and then went crazy with Mega Man projects, and now we're back to playing all nothing again. I feel like people overstate the drought of Mega Man content, like, yeah, of course the series was gonna crash and take a few years off, if you're making this many games, you're eventually gonna lose steam. The amount of Mega Man content coming out right now is pretty in line with how other series operate. I'm playing the Legacy Collection version on PS4, but you have options, like, a lot, like, way more than you would think. Mega Man 2 is by far the most popular Mega Man game. Looking at the sales numbers, Mega Man 2 is reported to have sold a whopping 1.5 million copies. What? This is weird, right? Mega Man 2, the crowning achievement and probably Capcom's longest-running franchise, the game that is brought up constantly in game design tutorials for good level design, the character that got in Smash before Capcom's golden boy Ryu. Highest-selling game only sold 1.5 million. To put that into perspective how weird this is, long-forgotten dormant franchise Dino Crisis sold 2.4 million copies. And Ghost and Goblins sold almost 4 million. Okay, what the fuck? Okay, back to the actual game. Mega Man's defining feature is the boss weapon weakness system. You can pick any boss in any order, and once you beat them, you get their weapon, which another robot master is weak to. This was a really revolutionary concept for its time, but it's definitely lost a little bit of luster since then with the fact that you can just look up the boss order online. And in Mega Man 2, there's one weapon that kind of overrides everything else. The Metal Blade. The Metal Blade is by far one of the most broken weapons in any video game. It does every job. Most bosses are weak to it, including Metal Man himself. It destroys regular enemies. It has essentially infinite ammo because you are never gonna run out of it. It's just powerful. It was actually intentionally done this way. The creator said in an interview that they want to have a weapon that was so broken that it would create attention and make people talk about how powerful the Metal Blade strategy was, drawing attention to the game in the process through word of mouth. And you know what? I'm here right now doing exactly that. It worked. Mega Man 2 was a very rushed game behind the scenes, but it's weirdly incredible how well it turned out. It's kind of hard to write about Mega Man 2 because it feels like everything about it has already been said, despite the fact that this is technically an obscure series. Mega Man 2 is also by far the easiest of the sectology on NES. If you're bad at video games or just platformers, it can still fuck you over, but the Metal Blade on top of having the least bullshit means that it's definitely the casual's pick. Which isn't a bad thing. Have a boss weakness guide on your phone, play some podcast or whatever, and I blasted through 2 in less than 2 hours. Everything in this game is just iconic. The sprite art is beautiful, and especially for its time, this must have been crazy. The Legacy Collection is also just a really solid release. It's on everything, goes on sale constantly, every option you can really think of is there. It even has a rewind feature, which I only used on the whatever this is supposed to be boss. It's only weak to crash bombs, and you have to have a full energy bar and not miss a single shot. These crash bomber doors are only there to trick you. I already died on it, and I grinded for all my weapon energy back, and I wasn't gonna do it again. This is the only true bullshit part of the game. I feel no remorse for cheating on that section. The only thing I can think of that truly aged poorly is that you probably shouldn't be playing this game if you're epileptic. You know, I was dreading doing a Mega Man game, but nah, this game rocks. Easy 4.5 stars. Next up, Wii Fit. My old balance board didn't work, so I bought a new one. You better appreciate the lengths I went to. I actually have been losing weight recently, and the board did get my weight pretty accurately, which is surprising since the BMI has never been a strong suit for the balance board to detect. You got yoga, stepping on and off the board, running, headbutting soccer balls, tilting balls, hula hooping, skiing, ski jumping, tightrope walking, and that's all I bothered to unlock. You have to unlock most of the minigames, which makes sense for a workout routine game, but it's also annoying for my purposes. I mean, the thing's fine, the balance games seem pretty interesting, it's just I have to use the Wii balance board. I can't tell if it's my extremely stiff posture or if the board is just finicky, and it's probably both. Something tells me I should see an orthopedic instead of playing Wii Fit. I mean, it does have the Wii series charm, and it is probably useful as an exercise tool for people that can't afford a gym membership, and the price of these things is dirt cheap, so you know, maybe some people could get some value out of this. The Wii Fit trainer is creepy and I don't like it. I think I'll just go to the gym and listen to my very strange selection of music in the comfort of my earbuds instead of feeling like I could be walked in on during an inappropriate time. This also counts as your Mii game. Wii Fit gets like a 3 stars. Yeah, that's fine. Now it's time to place this back in the comfort of my garage where it will never be seen again. Truly, $11.99 plus shipping well spent. Hit the like button and share the video, and maybe subscribe please, or I will never financially recover from this. Is it time? Oh my god, yes, yeah, punch out, I love it, fuck yeah, let's go! Okay, any regular of this channel knows, I love Punch-Out. I love it, I will always love it, one of my favorite games of all time, masterpiece. I'll gladly take any and all opportunities to talk about it. Punch-Out is an arcade game at heart. It started in the arcades, hit it big on the NES, had a great showing on SNES, and then went dormant for a long time, skipping the N64, the Gamecube, nothing. Until 2009, when Punch-Out Wii was released and folks like me couldn't get enough of it. Punch-Out is a simple game. You dodge, you punch, it's very simple for anyone to understand when you see someone try it. Now, some of you might be asking, why is this your favorite game of all time? And that's a fair question. The attention to detail on these characters and fights is so fine-tuned. You can play this game 10 times and on the 11th you'll notice something new. Every character has so much personality, so much charm, they just make you want to beat them up. Every detail, every animation is so beautifully and lovingly crafted, and it takes this relatively simple gameplay and stretches it to its absolute limit with ideas. Every character you both love to watch and love to see get taken down, but with just enough malice thrown into them that they get that petty revenge feeling when you've lost to the same guy 4 times in a row now. Glass Joe, a Frenchman who's trying his best. He's the tutorial fight for getting used to your controls, and he has 99 losses but still gets back in the ring. Don Flamenco, a Spaniard bullfighter with all the showmanship included. He has an infinite you can do on him, even though it's significantly harder than an NES Punch-Out, it just makes it that much funnier. Aran Ryan, who would be my choice for a second Punch-Out rep in Smash, a screaming loudmouth Irishman with a boxing glove whip. Just tell me that concept would be amazing. He'll never be him, but a man can dream.
Let's go, let's go!
1, 2,
You poaching your cheeseburgers in those gloves, have you, Mac? Me sister hits harder than you, boy! Who's that? Let's go, I'll take a piece of you now.
hey kid, looks like luck is on your side.
Super Macho Man, a California surfer dude superstar who's rich as fuck, buff, and got an ego the size of the Pacific Ocean. Every word that comes out of his mouth is a quote and a half.
Super Macho Man!
You go through the minor, major, and world circuits. 13 fights in total, but after you get title defense, where the real game begins. Every fighter comes back with a bloodthirsty vengeance for your world champion title. Even Glass Joe, who is the universal symbol for a pushover, is actually one of the more tricky fights. He's actually the hardest fight in the title defense minor circuit, and I really think it was intentional because it's just so funny. They even work it into the gameplay that once you get 100 losses, you get the headgear, which makes you take less damage. If you lose 100 times, then baby mode is probably a welcome condition, but even then it's optional. Soda Popinski, a massive Russian man who is constantly drinking soda, is the absolute hardest fight for me on title defense. He's not even the final boss, he's just so fast and hits like a truck. You have to get him stuck in a rage loop, because not having him on a script quickly goes south. Great Tiger gets 4 clones of himself and has an entire color-coded system of attacks and a super move, which I personally deal with as so. Bear Hugger, a Canadian lumberjack with a love of the wilderness, gets a pet squirrel, and you have to counter his attacks in order to build up star punches because regular dodge openings are super ineffective. The best part is that every character is voiced by a person of their respective nationality, so it feels a lot less racisty. It's like everyone's laughing along too, and there's plenty poking fun at the US and Canada where developers' next level games are located. That isn't to say that the gameplay is taking a backseat here. Oh no, the gameplay is so much fun. At first it's simple, just dodge the enemy attacks and return of your own punches for a stun combo, but it gets much more complex than that with counters and star punches. Many attacks can hit in the middle of their animation to not only interrupt them but also get a star punch. The star punch is a super powerful punch that can do a ton of damage, so you want to get them, and you can hold up 3 stars at once. Get 3 stars and you get a triple star punch, the most powerful attack possible, many times knocking your opponent out on the spot. But if you get hit when you have a star punch, you lose all of them, so be wary. There's many ways you can get stars, and every character has a way to knock them out instantly, ending the match entirely. Some are easy, some are hard, and finding out how to do it for all of them is so much fun. Speed running is a core element of Punch-Out, and it's so nice that the developers expanded it so much in this game. My only complaints are that you can't skip the cutscenes and the credits, which makes replaying just a slight bit more tedious, and that you have to use the Wiimote pointer for the menus. It's a really minor thing, but it's just a tiny annoyance and a near spotless masterpiece. There's also the motion controls for the regular gameplay, but I've never played with those. You can play with the Wiimote on its side, and I'm pretty sure they didn't even make the game with the possibility of it being beatable using motion controls in mind, which I'm glad they did because those things do not work. I'll gladly hook my Wii back up to play this game time after time, and I'm sure this isn't the last time I'll be playing it. My most viewed video is an iceberg video about Punch-Out, so I really have to thank it a lot. There's so much more I could say, but it's really a game you need to play for yourself. It might be bias, it might be nostalgia, but I genuinely love this game so much. It's hard as nails, it'll kick your ass, but when you finally make it to the end, I guarantee you'll have a smile on your face. Also, yeah, you could fight Donkey Kong, whoop-de-doo, 5 stars. Moving to the next series that starts with a P, has a dash in the title, and has a word after the dash that's 3 letters. It's Pac-Man! We were originally going to do Pac-Man Championship Edition 2, but then an incident occurred, and now I can't look at Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 in the same way, so we're just going to go with the original game. But not any original game, the PS4 arcade game series release. Please act like this is of any importance. Paying for Pac-Man is like paying for socks. This is just the original Pac-Man with this border. It's Pac-Man. Yeah! You eat ghosts, you get pellets. I really shouldn't have to explain Pac-Man. In 2015, I went to see Adam Sandler's movie Pixels with a friend, and we both walked out of the theater telling our moms that we really enjoyed it. There's no joke past that, I just thought that should be documented. Pac-Man was the first survival horror game. Did you know? Pac-Man take pill. Pill is type of drug. Pac-Man do drug in the 80s? Did you know Pac-Man was called Fuck-Man and people kept changing it to Puck-Man, and eventually so many people knew it as Puck-Man that they changed it to Pac-Man? Did you know Billy Mitchell isn't real? He never existed, much like his records. Did you know that Pac-Man was designed after a brownie plate with a piece of brownie missing? It had to be turned into a circle for the final release due to technical limitations. Pac-Man creator John Pac-Man recalled saying that he still feels slight resentment towards the final product due to the shape change having such a big impact on the final release. The Atari 2600 version was finally able to achieve John Pac-Man's vision, and so he considers this release the ideal version of the game. Really, what do you want me to say? It's Pac-Man. 3 stars. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is one of the most beautiful games of all time. Many games try to replicate the real world using their graphics and story setups, but Xenoblade uses its setting to tell a story and show a world that only Xenoblade Chronicles could do. Eons ago, two titans came into existence, the Bionis and the Mechanis. These two continent-sized beings were locked in a sword fight for ages, until both killed each other at the same time, only having their lifeless corpses remain, and these corpses are where the entire game takes place. Xenoblade has always had a problem of being on systems that can barely run it, and in Definitive Edition, it finally has the power to truly shine. So many times in this game, I was standing, taking in the absolutely beautiful and creative world. It truly feels like you are an ant on this massive continent of a body. This game just has such a calming feeling to it. My brother, who only really plays Call of Duty, Madden, NBA 2K, and GTA, he came into my room, saw me and Gar playing, and for the first time in what felt like forever, just wanted to sit down and watch me play it. My mom also thought Gar Plains was Ireland, and the most shocking thing about this going in was seeing that barely anything mechanic-wise was new. Everything in this game, it was trying to cram into a Wii disc in 2011. The Skyrim and Breath of the Wild idea of you see that mountain, you can climb it. This game was trying to do that on the Wii in 2011. Red Dead Redemption 2, every NPC has a set routine that they follow through the day. This game was attempting to do that on the Nintendo Wii in 2011. A console that at the time was barely an upgrade from the Gamecube, a console from 2001. Of course this game was gonna look hideous. It's probably one of the most ambitious games ever made for its time and console. That redone soundtrack, yes, these people are fucking geniuses. It's not without flaws though. I think the combat is fine, but it can feel a little drawn out at times. Like at certain points the fights could just feel a little overly repetitive, and the world can sometimes be a little too big for its own good, especially when you die and have to spend 3 minutes running back to where you died. Both of these combined, maybe just playing casual for most of the game, but that story makes up for all those pitfalls. I promise no spoilers, but genuinely, that ending was very, very close to making me cry. There is a game later in this video that did actually make me cry, but you'll have to wait and see for that, and no, it's not what you think. Many people have called Xenoblade Chronicles one of, if not their favorite game of all time, and I can 100% see where they're coming from. Everyone praises this game to high heaven and back, and it deserves every bit of that. If you have even the slightest interest, I wholeheartedly recommend it. Can't wait to play through Future Connected. In 100 years, your grandkid's gonna have to write a 500-word essay on this game. And if you want my opinion on Xenoblade 2, okay. I was originally gonna have a very quick, very throwaway joke about Xenoblade 2 here. Just to throw it under the rug, very concisely. But after the announcement of Xenoblade 3 and the reaction from good-natured people, not even Twitter users, good, real, respectable people with real opinions on matters, I realized that sweeping this game under the rug was far too kind. Xenoblade 2 is quite possibly one of my least favorite games ever made. The UI is horrid, the voice acting is horrible.
So kid?
My name's Rex.
Okay, Rex. Why did you start salvaging in the first place?
That there.
The World Tree? I don't get it.
They rushed the English voice acting to get the game released in 2017 so it could be one of the first real RPGs on the console.
That's Morag, the Flamebringer.
Morag?
Special Inquisitor Morag of Morardain, the most powerful driver in the Empire, and wielder of Bridget, the most powerful blade.
So together they're like ultra powerful.
Rex is just a horrible main character. There's a reason why Rex wasn't chosen for Smash, and speaking of Pyra Mythra, Pyra and Mythra's voice actor is probably the best performance out of the bunch, if only for having a flawless American accent despite being British. Like, I couldn't even tell. It's like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man levels of perfect. The world building is much less than 1, but 1 has like the best world building ever, so maybe it's not even a fair fight comparing the two. Just everything is slightly worse than the first game. All of this isn't necessarily that bad. Like, all of this can be boiled down to just a slightly worse sequel, a sequel that fell a bit short of the first game, This is me being really nice, by the way. But what kills this game is that it is very horny. Like, extremely horny. Pirate and Mithra's designs are horrible, but even beyond them you have Poppy's sex slave robot thing going on.
How may I be of service, master?
Wait a minute! Oh, forget you see that. Tora must change the settings.
The settings?
There's a lot more, but I'm gonna skim over it. If this game was some random new IP, all of this would be fine, but what's happening now is that people are categorizing Xenoblade as the boob game. Not just Xenoblade 2, but the entire Xenoblade series, because to an outsider, they don't know that 1 has much less horny stuff. So in their minds, instead of putting Xenoblade, the series, next to something like Chrono Trigger, they're putting it next to Senran Kagura, and it's not even their fault really. If you've never played these games, and you only know about Xenoblade from popular outside clips, of course you're gonna think, oh, this series is some random weeb bullshit I don't care about. This isn't some Twitter user thing. I've explained to multiple, real people that Xenoblade 1 is great and not horny, and that it's just a thing in 2. If the Xenoblade 3 trailer showed another pair of hot anime women in negative clothing, I think the series would have been done right there for most of the normal people population. I am very happy that Xenoblade 3 seems to be taking things back towards 1 again. Maybe we can gaslight the internet into thinking that the order you play these games in is 1, X, and then 3, and that's the trilogy. I am really hoping that 3 is actually good and that these words aren't gonna become outdated. Please, I beg you. They moved the release of 3 from September to July, so it's probably already out by the time this video releases, and I've probably already played it, and my social medias are probably flooded with my opinions on it if you want to know what I thought of it. Hey, future me here, it's perfect, like actually perfect. It's literally everything I wanted. It's like, it's incredible. Game of the year. May this piece be a time capsule of a bygone era for people to look back on the time that Xenoblade was really horny and that we can all sigh in relief that it's over. Xenoblade 1 gets 4.5 stars and Xenoblade 2 gets -1 because it is actively harming another game. I hate this thing, but I really love this thing. Please play this thing. Alley-oop! Now, I originally thought I was gonna have to bust out the emulation again, but as it turns out, Duck Hunt was released on the Wii U Virtual Console, who knew? Now, I could have emulated it, but I didn't really want to go through the trouble of having to figure out how to emulate a zapper, and the Virtual Console version uses the Wiimote as a zapper. It adds a pointer which wasn't in the original game, but considering that the Wiimote doesn't always like to work, I'm glad it's here. You can also just turn it off if you want. You shoot ducks and the dog catches them, you only get 3 shots per duck, and if you catch all of them in a round, you get bonus points. It's pretty simple when you get down to it. I never liked how the Virtual Console games look. They almost always looked washed out. It's one thing I'll give NSO, those games look amazingly colorful. Sometimes 2 ducks show up and you gotta get both of them. You can also shoot clay pigeons if you want. If you miss a duck, you see a meme that lasted way too long. Dorkly probably still makes jokes about it though. Overall, Duck Hunt is pretty okay. Most early NES games basically tried to be like arcade games that try to be fun enough to have replay value, and Duck Hunt actually succeeds in that regard. 3.5 stars, that seems fair. You fool. I bet you were expecting a Smash fan to not know how to play real fighting games, but you were sorely mistaken, but only half. When I started this project, I was really bad at fighting games, like horrendously bad, but now, in the present, I can assure you I am okay at fighting games now. Here's a list of traditional fighting games I've at least touched, which has greatly increased my view of the genre. Most of my rise in skill was due to my obsession with Guilty Gear, but now I can play a fighting game and do probably okay, maybe. And as a former Smash-only player who has since learned traditional fighting games, what the fuck were you Twitter users complaining about? These inputs are easy. Like seriously, once you play a game that actually tells you what button to push on the move list screen instead of some arcane symbols, you learn this stuff super fast. It's not that big of a deal, like it can be annoying, but you can learn it in like half an hour tops, and so much of these games is built around command inputs that they couldn't really work with just pressing up B. But y'all were mad about this? Huh? Also, FGC, don't think I'm sucking your dick. Y'all are just as, if not possibly more toxic than the Smash community in some areas. Like, remember this guy? Started out as a pro Street Fighter player. Now, on to Third Strike itself. Oh my lord, this game is beautiful. It's so nice looking at some of the best sprite art I've ever seen. Actually, it might just be the best sprite art I've ever seen in a video game. There's a few games that might fight for that title, but good lord, Third Strike is up there. Like, oh, okay, look at Elena's idle animation. When me and my friends were playing this game for the first time, we just both stopped to watch the 600,000 frames that are in this animation. It's so smooth, it's distracting. There's just so many colors, and the characters are all so unique. Third Strike initially got some hate at release because they went for an all-new roster, besides some obvious ones you have to keep like Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, and Akuma, but honestly, all these new characters are so not what I think of when I think of Street Fighter that makes it weirdly endearing. Like, how many of you know who Remy is? My favorites are Q, this just huge, weird, robot-looking dude that moves so strangely. He just carries this weight to his presence that every character respects, except for the fact that he's low tier. Maybe this one is obvious considering I main Faust and Strive, even though he's consistently considered one of the worst characters in the game. Remy, this blue-haired French guy that's this game's replacement for Guile. I saw one YouTube video talking about this Japanese Remy player who's super good despite the fact that this character literally does not function. Yuri, and this super buff dude who has this reflector super that I really love. I fucking love stage control. Street Fighter is a simple game anyone can pick up, but it's very complex when you get down to it. It's a game of, that dude wants to kill me, I want to kill them. What option should I pick and what option will they pick? That's an oversimplification, but anyone can pick this game up. Playing Street Fighter with your friends and just messing around learning stuff is honestly one of the most fun parts about these games. Or having someone who knows the game show you cool stuff you can do in it. I did manage to find an online match on the 30th Anniversary Collection servers.
I've been waiting for this.
Fighters ready. Engage.
Bro, just fucking use Fightcade. Is Third Strike the best fighting game of all time? Maybe. It's definitely my favorite Street Fighter, but what the best fighting game of all time is really difficult to answer and is most likely something made by Arc System. Smash fans, you're not allowed to say you know stuff about fighting games until you've played at least one Arc System fighter. That's the new rule. Just do yourself a favor, just try it out like one time. I just love fighting games, and don't worry, I still hold a love for platform fighters, even if competitive Smash has lost a lot of its luster for me. I just love watching two people who've learned a game inside and out duke it out. There's something that can be said about performance art, maybe, but also maybe not, since a lot of the mastery behind what happens in high-level matches for most games doesn't really come through if the viewer isn't also familiar with the game and knows how difficult stuff like this can be. And maybe one day I'll make my dream fighting game. That day will eventually come, hopefully, but for now, if anyone asks me if I'm down to play some Third Strike, I'll happily say yes. 4.5 stars.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is gonna be a controversial one. I'm gonna be completely upfront with this one. Final Fantasy VII Remake is my least favorite game that I played for this video. More than Star Fox Zero, more than any other game I'll talk about later, this is the worst one. This game was not only a complete slog, but it's borderline disrespectful to its origins. I played through the entire thing. I beat this entire boring-ass fucking game so I could say everything I'm about to say with confidence. Even though it's only a bit more than 20 hours long, it still took me months to beat. Not because of its difficulty or length, but because it was such a struggle for me to even think about playing it further. First off, there's the obvious problem that this remake of Final Fantasy VII is only remaking the first 5 hours of Final Fantasy VII. I know that people that like this game will scoff about this complaint, but it affects every single aspect of the game by stretching out what is essentially an opening to a full $60 AAA game. Everything feels so slow. So many parts of this game feel like they were solely put in to extend the game's playtime. Like they were playing through the original with a notepad, taking notes about things they could extend from seconds to minutes. All the materia and summons you gain feel generic and simple because in the original game, this was the starting equipment. They were saving the big, bombastic, powerful Beyond stuff for later in the game. They did add a lot of mid-late game summons, but my point still stands. The game looks incredible. Every monster and all the main characters look phenomenal, but everything else suffers a lot on the base PS4, which is what I played the game on. Intergrade wasn't out when I played this, and even then I don't have a PS5 yet, or the will to spend $70 on a game I already own that I don't even like. On the base PS4, so much of the textures and the lighting could just look downright ugly. When I walked out of this door and the lighting made it look like Sonic Generations, I literally stopped playing because I thought it was a glitch. Nope, that's just how it's supposed to look. A lot of poppin' too, it's a shame. It almost makes you wonder what the game would look like if there weren't so many fake loading screens where the game makes you sit through some unnecessarily long animation. Hey, Red 13, go run across that wall and hit that switch that is required for us to advance.
Now it's my turn.
elevator.
You need to do this 5 times. I triple checked 5 times. I'm actually rewatching the animation right now and like, am I crazy for pointing this out? Like, look how much dead air is in this animation. Like, could they not make this go faster? The combat has 2 styles, the real-time combat and a recreation of the old turn-based combat. I didn't play with the classic combat, but with the real-time combat, so many enemies just felt like damage sponges that I knocked the difficulty down from normal to easy. Not necessarily because of how hard it was, but because I was just bored every time an enemy showed up. And, okay, I know I'm not usually the best at these types of games, but I don't know, man. I optimized all my stats, I got the best equipment I could find, and I checked some Let's Players to see if they were having the same problem, and they were. The combat is just boring, which is what they were trying to quote-unquote fix when they made the combat real-time. How they're treating elements from the story... Sephiroth, one of the most iconic video game villains of all time. In the original, he's a twist villain. He's only mentioned at first, and you only see him until way after where the game ends in Remake. They wanted to savor his reveal, and that's why he and his theme are so celebrated. In Remake, Sephiroth shows his face in the first hour, and he just constantly shows up to do nothing but spoil the surprise. Hey guys, I'm Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. Remember me? I'm in the game, right? Hey, remember me? I'm Sephiroth, the remarkable guy. Hey, I'm Sephiroth, the cool villain of the... Remember that? Yeah, that's me. Hey, I'm Cloud. Fucking hey, what's up, man? What's going on? The creators said their reasoning behind this choice was because everyone already knew the twist, and they said they couldn't give people the same fresh experience. But why not take that opportunity to make these moments that much more impactful, to pay tribute to these truly iconic moments? Everyone knows how the story of Romeo and Juliet ends. That doesn't mean you should just write a different ending. Okay, imagine they make a new remake of, like, Titanic. Everyone fucking knows how Titanic ends. My dog knows that shit. And obviously it's gonna star Tom Holland now, but that's besides the point. And then you get to the end of the movie, and they just live. Like, wouldn't that be fucking shitty? Aerith's death is the video game spoiler. On a comparable level to Snape kills Dumbledore or Spider-Man dies in Infinity War. In part 2, well, they try to make this legendary moment that much more heart-wrenching. Even though everyone already knows the punch, will they try to pay tribute to why it's such an unforgettable moment? Or will they write some bullshit involving the Spectre dudes as to why she survives? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they chose the latter. I understand what they're trying to do with this not being a remake necessarily, more of a reimagining that works if you played the original, but the thing is, the original Final Fantasy VII needs a modern remake. This is such an important game. This is the game that definitively said to the world that the PlayStation was a new powerhouse in video games. Even with previous releases like Resident Evil and Crash Bandicoot, FF7's big push on marketing with its CGI cutscenes, its focus on story, and the sheer fact that no other console at the time could possibly run this game solidified the fact that the PS1 was going to stick around. But even so, much of it was outdated even just 2 years later. It's such a missed opportunity. Final Fantasy VII is a game that deserves to be cherished, remembered, and recognized for being such a landmark title, and a modern remake that fixes up these issues while still keeping the full game and original story is such a missed opportunity. Everything from splitting up the game to the re-releases, the mobile battle royale spin-off, the $70 price tag on PS5, the content locked behind pre-orders. It all feels just so corporate. The game with themes of anti-corporate sentiment is now being milked by a corporation. And you know what? I was right when I wrote this, and I'm even more right now. This company is fucking dog shit. I hate Square Enix, and I'm so glad others are finally realizing that this company is fucking horseshit. I'm sorry to everyone that likes this game. I really wanted to enjoy it, but not only was it a boring slog to play through, but it also represents so many things I just can't stand. And the worst part, most of what I said could be completely outdated later. Now, the star system is not an objective, this is how good the game is. This is how much I enjoyed playing the game. That being said, 1 star, sit in the corner and think about what you've done. We arrive at the last of the Smash 4 characters, and the 3rd most notorious S-tier in the franchise's history. Bayonetta. Notice how I said 3rd most notorious, despite Bayonetta possibly being the most game-rupturing character in the series' history. The most notorious is Meta Knight and Brawl, 2nd being Fox and Melee, 3rd Bayonetta, and 4th being... I don't know, Joker in Ultimate? No one can actually agree on who the best character in Ultimate is, but I think in the eyes of the general video game playing public, I think Joker is seen as the most OP despite the modern tier list. And last is Pikachu in 64 if you wanted to know. You see, Smash 4, despite technically selling more copies than Brawl and Melee, it had 2 versions. And how many people do you know that bought both versions? Me. Melee is still played competitively by many people, and the phrase no items Fox only final destination is so memed that people that don't know anything about Melee just assume Fox and Falco are the only characters people play in it. Brawl is a game that people actually like and is held dear to many people even today. Once an 8th grade or so at the end of the school year in the final class for science, the teacher had a party with chips and soda and a Wii with 4 emotes and a copy of Brawl. Everyone took their turns with winner stays rule and it was super fun. If you go to the Twitter account at Smash Bros Brawl, you will find a plethora of memes and images dedicated to the mesmerizing style and aesthetics of Super Smash Bros. Brawl for the Nintendo Wii. I really wish this account posted more, and I miss it dearly every day. But what makes Meta Knight the most notorious example is because of a time I was babysitting some kid. I don't even remember the kid's name, but assuming they were like 8 at the time and the story happened in 2019 and the most common boy's baby name in 2011 was Jacob, so I'll go with that. Jacob was playing Fortnite, but I was talking to him and he said he had a Switch and Smash Ultimate, so I asked if he wanted to play that, because it's probably a good idea to spend time with the kid that you're babysitting. Jacob picked Meta Knight because he heard Meta Knight was the most broken character in the game. That is a legacy that spans generational gaps and cannot be understated. You may have noticed that I've spent a lot of time not talking about Bayonetta. This is because I don't really care about Bayonetta despite playing the games. Bayonetta is a character action game, a genre name that is really bad, but there's no real alternative because calling them beat-em-ups would be kinda disingenuous. Played Bayonetta 1 first because I heard when you play 2 you can never go back to 1. They are right. The first game is not bad, just kind of annoying to play. The second game is the one I played the most, and despite that, I still don't have that much to say about it. On the Switch version, in handheld mode, you can play with touch controls, which is a very mesmerizing feature that gave me a sense of wonder as I stared at one of my favorite things in life. Completely stupid and worthless features in video games that no one would ever use, except for the excitement of enjoying how stupid it is. What is that? John, Bayonetta's friend, gets killed and her soul gets dragged down a hill and Bayonetta has to go down there and save her. A very good premise for a flashy over-the-top action game where you get to brutally murder demons and angels alike with your hair witch magic mastery. Despite this, Bayonetta has just never particularly clicked with me. Bayonetta was developed by Platinum Games led by Hideki Kamiya, who has pretty much created the entire genre of character action games, creating Devil May Cry, which was the birth of character action games, and in 2013 created The Wonderful 101, which I hold dearly as one of the most important games I've played in my life because it led me to create a 1-hour video on it, which is the first piece of art that I created that I really thought I put my heart and soul into. I will not go into why Wonderful 101 is so good as a little tease and subtle advertisement for you to watch my other video. Bayonetta 2 takes place on Christmas, which makes it a Christmas game, and a different definition of a Christmas game is No More Heroes 3 because I got it on Christmas. No More Heroes 3 is extremely good with style and UI and story that only the delightful Madman Suda51 could create. For the holidays of 2021, I decided to just take a complete break of not working on this video in any way, shape, or form, and I played a lot of No More Heroes in that time. No More Heroes 3's combat is so fun, and I just want everyone to go in and experience it blind like I did. Everything in No More Heroes is cranked up to the point of absurdity, and it knows it, and it revels in that fact. Suda51's games are a rabbit hole and one that I fear I'm lacking enough expertise in to even begin to give any in-depth statement on besides from I really enjoyed playing it. Jess Baptiste the Sixth, aka Lord Fu, is one of my favorite gaming villains in recent memory, but maybe my current standards are a bit skewed since the villains I've been talking about for like the past 2 hours or whatever have been like a big monkey head or like Bowser stealing my star or whatever. If there ever is another Smash game, which there probably will be because capitalism and it won't be as good as Ultimate, I hope Travis Touchdown finally gets a spot in. I think he would fit in well, and while I don't know how he would play, I'm sure that they'll make it work. Maybe this tiny sidetrack can help future-proof this video in some way if that ever happens in 10 years or so. The difference of these games compared to Bayonetta is that I played these games because I wanted to play them, because they looked cool. I chose to play Bayonetta because I had to play a Bayonetta game, and I'm worrying that this sense of obligation might be making me unfairly judge games games too harshly. The Bayonetta games are good games, but I don't have any desire to experience them right now. Much like how playing Bayonetta 1 after 2 was a slog, playing Smash 4 after playing Ultimate feels like I rolled the game back to the open beta build. You know, when I went to Super Smash Con 2021, I went to watch the Brawl Finals. There was a crowd of about less than 7 people, and there was only one Meta Knight, 686M. The guy that was sitting crisscross applesauce while he played, which made him the guy I wanted to see win. In the final match in Grand, he switched to Ice Climbers. The other player, who was named Player 1 despite being on the Player 2 slot, was playing Diddy Kong. Wobbling was banned, so instead, on the last stock, 686M did a workaround of using Diddy's own banana to trap Player 1 in a chain grab using the trips. It was hype as fuck. I had to start the clapping to get the rest of the room to celebrate such a hype grand finals ending. As I was leaving the room, I passed by 686M, who was putting the trophy on the ground to get a picture to post on Twitter. I said to him, "Good shit, man," as I left the room. The next day, the Smash 4 finals were happening. The grand finals were Mistake, the top Bayo player, versus DeBuzz, the top Rosalina player. There was a much bigger crowd than there was for Brawl. Me and my friend Adi were not there, because we were watching the top 8 for a bit, and after the crowd popped off and cheered for a regular roll read, we decided to go to the hotel arcade instead. We played Persona 4 Arena Ultimax and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and we had significantly more fun. You know? Character action games are kinda like fighting games, but single player. They are the only single player games that have combo montages for them. Maybe the gameplay of Smash 4 is just too simple to handle representing a game like Bayonetta, where the combat is designed to make you feel like a badass rather than making you feel like your controller is covered in mud. In conclusion, Smash 4 would have died regardless of whether Bayonetta happened or not, because Smash 4 is a shallow game, and Bayonetta is just a series that represents complexity, and that's something that Smash 4 doesn't have. These games may be forever intertwined, and I have no desire to play either of them again. Maybe that's a good thing, because people should play games that they enjoy. Bayonetta 2 gets 3 out of 5 stars.
Round over.
Hey yo, what's up? Thank you for watching. Subscribe, do the other things. Next episode's gonna be the final one. Woohoo! Yay! I'm so proud of that information. We're almost done. Woo! Okay, I'm gonna go sleep now. Thank you. Woohoo! Yeah, awesome.